Hello. Today I am going to talk to you about my evolution as it relates to dating here in France. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks. I'm an American. I moved to France in 2018. I first came here on a sabbatical. I wasn't working. And then a few years later, I created a business to help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country. And I help them create an exit strategy plan so that they have some more clarity on the steps they're going to need to take. I help them to develop the resilience and build the kind of mindset they're going to need to be successful in integrating into a new country and a new culture. And I help women in particular with their personal development and growth in feeling worthy and feeling seen, heard, and appreciated with my monthly Women Rising Roundtables. And today I'm going to talk to you about my evolution in the dating realm here in France. Now, back in 2018, when I moved here, I was hopeful that I would find my Mr. Right pretty quickly. And that was based on the idea that when I'm in France, I feel good. I feel at ease. I feel really good about myself. And so I thought, well, that would really speed things along. In the United States, I didn't have much luck dating. Actually, after my divorce, I really didn't, put myself out there. But in France, I was ready for that. I was open to that. And so about 6 months in, I created an online profile for a dating site similar to Match.com in the US. And that profile was all in French, so I poured over it, trying to make it right, grammatically correct, and I'm sure it was riddled with errors. But, as an American, where French is my second language, that's to be expected. So I put it out there, and then I started getting likes and comments, and a couple people actually even sent me some messages. And there was one person who really took an interest in me. And so we started chatting back and forth. Then we took it to WhatsApp, and we chatted on WhatsApp, still just writing. And then about maybe 2 weeks in, then we had our first phone conversation, which to me was so much easier because I didn't have to wordsmith and, wonder, am I writing this grammatically correct? When I spoke French, I spoke it and it was right or it was wrong. And it was what it was. Anyway, we started dating, and I met his daughter soon after we started going on a couple of dates. We even went on vacation together that August. And then we had a heart-to-heart conversation. He says, I have something I want to share with you. And it wasn't good news. He shared with me that he was suffering from kidney disease and that he would have to go through some treatments until he could find a donor, an organ donor. And that, we were just starting our relationship, and he didn't think it was fair to me to bring me into this drama. And I was like, oh no, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't feel good about that. I think we should just break it off. And so we did. And after that, I took it really pretty hard. Harder than I probably should have with a relationship of only 3 months. And so the realization I had then was that maybe I really wasn't relationship ready. While I felt better while I was in France, maybe personally I needed to develop and grow. After all, I'd only just got set up in this foreign country. My French skills were not that good, not as good as I thought they were when I was studying and practicing in the United States. When I got to France, I realized, oh, you've got a long way to go. And this idea also of feeling like, oh, if I could maybe find a partner and maybe at some point move in with that partner, then I could stretched my savings, which is what I was living off of, a little bit longer, and that would give me a little bit more stability, a sense of stability. I didn't realize that at the time, but this was what I recognized in hindsight. So that was my initial attempt at dating in France. And so because I took it a little hard, I decided that in 2019, I was just going to take a break. I was moving to a completely different town, and I just needed to get situated and settled there, and that dating just took too much time and energy. So 2019, I kind of took off until the end of 2019. At which time I thought, oh, Patricia, you still would like to be in a relationship. Let's try your hand at this again. And I think I signed up for a different site this time. Oh, maybe it was the same site. But at any rate, toward the end of 2019, I went on one date with somebody that didn't turn into anything. So let's fast forward to when the pandemic started. I was visiting the United States. And I got stranded there. But while I was in the United States, it was probably the end of February, beginning of March 2020, somebody else sent me a message on that dating site. And we started to talk. And I thought, oh, he seems really interesting. I like him. And we started to chat on WhatsApp. And then we started to have conversations on WhatsApp. And I shared with him how I was in the United States and this pandemic was getting really scary, and he was agreeing. And then the borders closed. So my 3-week trip to the United States turned into a 3-month trip. But that gave us the opportunity to get to know each other very well with video calls. And that's what we did. And so I was really anxious to meet him in person. I didn't get to meet him until the 3rd week in May of 2020. He came and he picked me up at the train station, and that was wonderful because I had never had anybody pick me up at the train station except my parents when I was coming back from university during breaks. And it was really nice to have that. I was like, oh, yeah, I could get used to that. A few weeks later, I met both of his children, his grandson, his ex-wife at a barbecue. And we also went on vacation together, and things were going really well until we had a problem with boundaries. He had some boundaries that I thought were a little bit unusual. The fact that he would not call me anytime he was babysitting his grandson, right? We would not have a conversation that day. And we talked every day, at least for 20 minutes. But what I was asking for wasn't a 20-minute conversation. It was a 3-minute, hey, how you doing? How was your day? Have a great night sort of conversation. And he wasn't going to have it. And so to me, that gave me some red flags, some things that didn't feel right. And so we had a conversation, and that was the sticking point, as odd as that is. And so we were together about 9 months, and I was crushed that was all it took for us to go our separate ways. And I'm not sure how he took it, but we did. We went our separate ways, and this was about October of that year. And my realization there was that, I still wasn't probably relationship ready, because there may have been a clinginess there. There may have been this idea that I spoke about before of, the sooner I find somebody and maybe move in with them, I could preserve some of my savings, and that could extend my time here in France. Because at that point, I was just getting started with my business. That was something I was holding on to, a crutch I was holding on to. Again, it was very unconscious. I didn't have this awareness until probably a year after we had broken up. So anyway, my French skills, however, by that point were much, much better after, conversations on WhatsApp with him during the pandemic. I really saw my language skills improve. And so that was one thing. Sometimes people say, well, what's the best way to improve learning a foreign language? And I've heard other people say this, and I would agree is, start dating somebody who doesn't speak your language, because you're going to have to figure some things out. All right. So that was relationship number 2. Hard breakup for me. At the end of which I committed to myself. I said, okay, Patricia, this dating thing isn't as easy as you thought. You have you, you're always going to have you, and let's settle in there. Let's take another break and, not even consider dating for a while. And that's what I did. And so this has been an evolution, as you can tell. Have you done the online dating thing in your country or maybe in a foreign country? What things have you learned about yourself in that situation? Let me know in the comments. So after about a 3-year break from dating, I decided, Patricia, unless you want to spend the rest of your life alone, you're going to have to try this dating thing. Because now I'm in this smaller town where even if people are looking, dating somebody from my town felt too small townish, where maybe all my business might be in the streets. So broadening my perimeter was something that I wanted to do. And so I did. But it was clear from the get-go this time around that I was not ready. The people I was attracting were just not people that I could see myself having a long-term relationship with. However, there was one person that I thought, well, maybe I'm being too critical. And so I decided to meet this person in person after he insisted a little bit. And at that point, I wasn't really that good at saying no. So I said, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe in person, I'll see something that I don't see online or in our phone conversations. And so we met halfway. And while he was a very nice person, I recognized that he himself was not relationship ready. And when I say that, I mean not in a situation that felt stable. Like when I moved to France initially, I was not in a stable situation. Yes, I had a 1-year visitor visa, but beyond my savings, I didn't have a way to come back after a couple of years, not until I started my business. This person who was French, had been living in France all his life, was not stable either, because he had stopped doing his entrepreneurial business and was kind of floundering. And he had just broken up with his ex, and his ex had the house. And so he was living in a camper. And there's nothing wrong with living in a camper, but he had no plumbing in his camper. And when I thought about, the potential of our relationship, of, my going to his place or him coming to my place, I thought there's no way that I can go and stay with him because I need a toilet. And the idea that he would just always come to my place felt like, no, that felt like it might be too easy for him to feel like he could just move in. And so, after that, I was like, I don't think this is the right time for me to go ahead and continue to look for the right person, because obviously the conversations I had before and that interaction was something that was just did not sit right with me. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to stop again. I'm good. I had recommitted to myself after that second breakup. I feel like I'm not ready. And so I stopped. And I think that awareness is huge, right? There is evolution, huge progress in recognizing when you are ready and when you are not for getting into a relationship. And so that was around 2023, sometime in 2023. So I took another long break, 1.5 years. Fast forward to July of 2025, I am dog sitting for the people I always dog sit with. And it is the French national holiday, July 14th. And there is this wonderful concert that they give every year there in that village. And so I decided to go because the owners of the dog that I was sitting for said, "Oh, you need to go. They put on a really good show." And so this was at 10 o'clock at night. And so I go and I'm all by myself and I'm walking through the village to get to the arena. And I just see, couples hand in hand. I see people at cafes or restaurants just, enjoying themselves. I see families. And I am reminded strongly that, here you are, Patricia, 7 years into your life in France, and you are alone. You have not found the person of your dreams, even though in the beginning you thought, yeah, this will be a piece of cake. And so I went to the concert. The concert was wonderful. People, families enjoying themselves, couples enjoying themselves. It was a nice event, but it was a bittersweet event for me because, again, it was a reminder. So when I got back to the house, I thought to myself, Patricia, you have to try again. As hard as it is, as much as you feel like maybe you won't find somebody, you have to try again. And you have to try again from a different space, not the space that you went at it the last time, because that didn't yield any fruit. So the following day, I signed up for an account, signed up for a paid account for one of these dating sites. I created my profile. This time it was much easier because my language skills had improved. My written language skills had improved. And I just was writing from the heart. It wasn't something that was, I think this will work. It was just like, this is what I'm looking for. This is who I am. I'm happy with who I am on my own, but it would be nice to be with somebody else. And you know what? Surprisingly, being less attached to the outcome, because that was the energy I brought to it, was I'm going to try this, because if I don't try this, I will never know. It was more lighthearted because I was thinking, well, if nothing else, I'll go on dates and I will meet people and I will perhaps have experiences to write about in another book. And so that's what I did. And this time around, it was very different. I met really neat people, a couple who I thought, there's potential, but then in the end, it fizzled out after meeting for coffee. But there was one that I am dating right now. And I think there is high potential that this relationship could be the long-term relationship I've been looking for all along. And I think the realization this time, the evolution was I needed time for me to get to a place where I was more financially stable beyond savings, where my French language skills were solid, because communicating in a relationship in your native tongue is hard enough to be understood and communicate your feelings. So to get to a level where I was able to do that and feel comfortable and confident in expressing what I need and what I would like, that was really important. And having my business get to a place where it's supporting me now feels like the independence that I needed to then create an energy or a space or an awareness when I started looking for love. So that has been my evolution in dating here in France. Hasn't been fast, hasn't always been easy. The breakups were hard. The recognizing that, I'm attracting people I don't want to attract was even harder. But taking those breaks in between and just really starting to put down roots here for myself and building on my language skills has been a game changer for me. So that is what I wanted to share with you about the evolution of my dating here in France. What surprises you most about that? Let me know in the comments. All right. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I am a coach. I help people who want to build the skills so that they can evolve into a new life in a foreign country with more ease and with more joy. And if that sounds like something that you're interested in, or if you need help creating a plan and listing out all of the tasks and timelines that you're going to need to get to your foreign country with a little bit more confidence, then go ahead and schedule a complimentary discovery call so we can see what it is you'd like to work on and how it is I can help you. And you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/future expat to schedule that, or you can just check out my website to see all the services that I offer. All right, thecouragecatalyst.com. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.